Hey everybody, welcome back to BrickVault. This coming Monday, September 1st is International Star Trek Day, and what better way to celebrate the franchise and our Star Trek fans among our viewers than launching a brand new Star Trek build. While talking to Kevin J. Walter about these builds, I noticed we only have one single Star Trek build in the web store, our UCCS Enterprise, also designed by Kevin. What do you think? Should we do more Star Trek builds? Comment down below. This week we are taking a look at a couple of 1:1 scale builds, being the Tricorder and the Phaser Type 2. The Tricorder is a multifunctional device used in the Next Generation series, and the name is combined of the word tri and recorder, standing for the three functions the device has: scanning, recording, and analyzing the surroundings. The Phaser Type 2, specifically the Type 2371, is a weapon used in a few of the movies after the Next Generation series, first seen in the 1994 movie Star Trek Generations, specifically the Type 2 2371. Now I have to admit I haven't watched all the movies and the full series, only a few episodes, so forgive me if I'm no Star Trek expert. I'm sure y'all will correct me in the comments, but I'm primarily focused on these devices as Lego builds in this video, since that's what matters most here. It's most important to me to respect the design work and the talent needed to build something like this in the first place, and of course the big Star Trek community that is so passionate about this, so I'll try to refrain from any assumptions about the functionality in universe and the specific names of buttons or so. I hope you understand. If you want to build one for yourself to display or play with, because both is definitely possible, check out BrickVault.toys or click the first link in the video description. Your purchase directly supports the designers we work with like Kevin and ourselves, so we can continue bringing you the best and most intricate custom builds out there. Let's start with the Tricorder. First thing I noticed after finishing the builds and looking at this thing, this is a really smooth build and extremely sturdy. It feels really good in your hands and it's totally playable. I love this build for its 80s look, and of course this reminds me of some of the early flip phones. I loved those back in the day. Both models come with a stand. The Tricorder just gets set down on the stand and the black panel piece on the stand gets inserted into that gap that appears when you open up the model. Really clever. The model can only be displayed on the stand if it's opened up though. When you close it, it will fall backwards, so that's maybe a slight downside to this design, but I think most people will display it in its open configuration anyways. You can see there are a plethora of buttons and lights on this thing. Again, I'm no expert, so let me know what all these buttons are for. The only ones I remember are the big red one on the lower half of the Tricorder, and that's an emergency data dump button. The black modified tile is a screen, and the transparent red tile next to it is the power light. That's all I know. You can see that some of the buttons are recessed a bit from the rest of the build. That is so you can fold it up and nothing interferes with it. It's built in a way that if you press it together a little, the friction will hold this model together and it doesn't instantly pop open again. Not sure how intentional this is, but I think it's a cool side effect of the way this is built. On top we have quite a few lights again, and I guess the rounded bit on the very top is supposed to be the sensor part. But let's continue with the phaser. First impression as a non-Star Trek Ultra fan, this looks like a clinical thermometer, a really hard word for a German to pronounce, like if you have a fever so. But of course in universe this is a weapon and the next generation, no pun intended, of the more subtle Type 1 phaser. You can see we have the handle part connected at an angle to the actual weapon part. Again, no expert here, but the longer white part should be the trigger if I'm not mistaken, and the two white buttons are the beam controls. The greenish yellow part is actually just pushed in there and only gets held in by friction, and that's the power level indicator. This model also just rests on the stand in in a particular recess for a tile on the bottom, so it's easy to take off and play around with. Sometimes if you handle this thing really roughly, the black parts of the handle can come out and break apart. That happened to me twice during extreme handling, but I think that could also be just a side effect of me using used pieces here instead of new ones. That's the second addition to our Star Trek collection on BrickVault. Let me know if you want more Star Trek builds in the store in the future. Don't forget to check out the instructions on BrickVault if you're interested, and feel free to leave a like and subscribe if you haven't already, and I'll better start watching the series again. Thanks everyone for watching, and I'll see you next time at BrickVault.